Hello everybody. Today you're going to learn about how your experience with SuiteCRM will look like and maybe even look like compared to other CRM systems. My name is Bastian Hammer, your go-to expert when it comes to all things CRM, marketing automation, e-commerce and sales integration. Okay, so let's go. If you're currently looking for a CRM system for your company, then you might have already seen those different review websites which are gathering or collecting reviews from users, all sorts of users on CRM systems. So let's quickly go through some of those before we look into more focused details of SuiteCRM system. So here with Capterra, they're comparing SuiteCRM to HubSpot. Well, it's not really fair to compare a suite like an open source system to HubSpot. Plus, HubSpot is very much marketing driven, marketing focused, and SuiteCRM is a bit more looking into the traditional sales processes. And then you see, like the difference is not that big as well. Here we've got a 4.1, there we've got a 4.4, even though this one is green and this one is orange. 4.8 is much higher than 4.3 on this side here. Still it's orange. So really look into the details here. What do they compare? How do they compare before you trust those sites completely? Often it's kind of automated. It doesn't seem to be very, very great together. So I find it more valuable to look into what people write here. And then navigation is spotty as sometimes the menu items disappear when you are drilling into specific features. It could happen. You can simply refresh your browser. Fields randomly blank out, such as on the invoicing. Haven't seen this one, but it sounds maybe there is a problem with the browser or the caching system or something. So look into those things, especially if you find something like a con which translate into your requirements. And if you have this requirement as a must-have, then you should really think about consider to take another CRM system, take a closer look at another CRM system. But if it's just a maybe for you, or you don't even have it on your requirement list, then it could have all the negative points that they want. But if it's not relevant for you, it doesn't matter. So try to go through, usually a focus on the negative side of things, just to rule out stuff quickly. Then here we've got 8.4 of 10, and then you can see some things like, so no setup fee. Yeah, well, it doesn't provide a free trial because it is kind of free. You can just install it. Free freemium version, it doesn't have it because it's released under the HGPL license. So therefore, well, I think it's just purely wrong here. And then premium consulting. So from the maintainers or from the software developers, you get it if you want to buy it. The company behind it is called the Sales Agility. You can find other consultants like me, for instance, as well. And you got premium consulting. It's just not inside your package that you install there. Alternatives, well, as you can see, pricing-wise, Odoo, for instance, it's very different as well. So Odoo has a CRM module. It can do some CRM stuff, so there's an overlap. But Odoo is an ERP as well, which in SuiteCRM is not there just out of the box. So there are some modules for it. Maybe if you look into an ERP functionality, I would probably not start with the CRM in the first place. And then the next thing is here. So here we've got a 4.1. Again, they're comparing it to Soho. So mostly I do Soho and SuiteCRM projects. Soho is an amazing CRM, but if you just look at the cost of things, you simply can't compare these. And if you look at the companies behind those two, so here in SuiteCRM, you've got like an open source software, which is contributed by one smaller company, Scotland, whereas in Soho, it's a huge company in India. So I think the comparison, or like to put those together, is just a bit difficult to justify. But anyway, they've done it and it's fine. Even though if you compare it directly with each other, then you will see that SuiteCRM is not like way down there and Zoho is way up there. Usually I've got the impression that in Zoho you want to have this if there are like very, very specific things in Zoho which are very great features if you need them. But if you don't need them, then it's not a huge difference from Suite to Zoho in terms of features. But as you can see, so there are some comparisons, and really check them carefully. If you have already some experience about CRM systems, maybe you can relate them as well. Let's go into details. So experience with the SuiteCRM system in terms of functionality. So you've got like a very, very wide palette of features out of the box, and those come as modules, as add-ons inside those modules already integrated. So you will have a very hard time if you just look around in the open source CRM market to find any CRM system with invoicing, with trouble tickets, with quotations, with projects, and so on and so on. So this functionality is very unique on the open source CRM market. Other CRM systems provide it as well, especially the SaaS companies. Of course, you will pay there. There's a different cost structure. But if you just look into the open source, functionality-wise, SuiteCRM is very, very high up in at the top there. Usability. So there I would rate it not that high, because starting from the bottom, so UI, the experience, if there's a new user coming into the CRM system, you need to make sure as an admin before you onboard your new users that you reduce functionality, links and features just by doing permissions, for instance. Check out my video on the menus, for instance, where I will show and demonstrate how to do this there. And if it's being reduced because there is such a huge amount of features, then it's a bit easier. But if you have like the full system and you're logging in as a new user who never used the CRM system before, it can be quite overwhelming. And then again, the UI, it doesn't really help because it's not that amazing. So the UI, I'd say it's lacking a little bit behind the design. It's currently being improved, but it's not on a level where, for instance, Zoho or Salesforce or HubSpot are at the moment. Admin-wise, well, it's kind of okay if you get used to it. As an admin, you can do a lot, but sometimes you have to do some coding or some configurations on files. Additionally, if you're using if you're working on the admin area, you might consider your tech knowledge in terms of Linux and hosting already, because you're self-hosting the system usually, and it will definitely help. But I have customers who have the job divided by two people. So one person is usually the person on the Linux and server side of things, and the other person is the pure admin of the CRM. It works, but it's easier if you have a grasp of both things. Integration ability. So how does it end up to be integrated? I'd rate it fairly well. So API wise, it's quite open. So you've got like a standard API, you've got like 3 different APIs, and still the old one is not discontinued. And therefore, even if you have old software, it's integrated in the old way, it will still work. So that's quite neat. It doesn't work everywhere. So sometimes I see it in SaaS companies that they discontinue API, and you have to change your integration software as well. So it happened more than once before. Therefore, here, definitely this is a big pro of SuiteCRM system. Then the inbuilt integrations. So, well, it works in a way. There is something like Google Calendars, Google Maps and stuff, and it's just not working as great as the big projects out there like Zoho or Salesforce or something, but it works in a way. Plugins, there are plenty of plugins, even plugins which are combining things. Like for instance, there is a plugin which will connect your SuiteCRM to OneDrive or like any other drive, Google Cloud or whatever system you've got there. And the problem about the plugins is if they are built for an old version and you want to upgrade because everything is upgraded already, but your one plugin hasn't been upgraded, it's just abandoned, and therefore you can't upgrade your whole system just because of this one plugin. So that's not a very nice experience. Therefore, I'm going back to the first point, the API. Usually I prefer this because there you've got a bit more freedom and flexibility. Even if one plugin won't be upgraded, you still have the API to go back to. Then very unique. So any other SaaS business or any other SaaS product can't offer this at all. You've got a PHP and a MySQL database access. So if you want to, you can integrate directly there. It makes a lot of sense if you're working, for instance, with data warehouses. You have to pull your data, you have to do a transformation on the data into your data warehouse and use your BI software to do more complex analysis of your stuff. Then this helps a lot. Additionally, looking into the API, which other SaaS companies offer, usually the SaaS products, you've got limits there. So especially if you're going into e-commerce, if you're going to have like a lot of transaction into B2C, for instance, and you still want to integrate these transactions in your CRM system, usually you can't do this with stuff like Zoho or Salesforce because you're hitting limits all the time. But here, if you're self-hosting, you're not hitting any limits because there are none. So therefore, experience in the integration for SuiteCRM is quite good. You have to search for other software which is on the same level here. Scalability, it is neatly growing with you and with your business processes as well. So you can look into web hosting. You can really install it on a small web hosting package. I don't recommend it. It does not working very well. Check out my video on the web hosting side of things for SuiteCRM system. But even if you outgrow your web hosting package, you move to a VPS, then you can scale your VPS vertically, maybe add more RAM, add more CPU cores or whatever. And then eventually, if even that is getting too slow because you've got hundreds of employees and you've got millions of data records, and then you can look into horizontal scaling. So you've got like 2, 3, 4 different computers or like servers with load balancers in between, which will help you to scale this. Of course, here you need tech knowledge. So if you're using a SaaS product, it will just grow with you and you won't notice it at all. But here you would need to invest in the technical knowledge behind this. Then the license terms. So what I usually look at in terms of licensing, it's licensed under the AGPL. And what that means is you can quickly check out this page here. So you can use it for commercial use, modify, distribute, place a warranty. You cannot sub-license it and you cannot be held liable. You must include copyright, include license, and disclose your source. So you can't, for instance, develop the system, rebrand it, and sell it. So that doesn't work under this license. But if you just use it as a standard for your business, go ahead. That is working fairly well. And then we look into data control. So you just have like control of your data because you know where it is. So I read all the time, like some cloud services, cloud providers have been hacked and the data is now public and those hacker groups are selling the data and so on. It cannot happen here depending a little bit on where you store the data, how you store the data. So basically you can build your own security and you're just totally fine if you have it in your own company without any access to the outside world and nobody is able to copy and download everything and distribute it online. No bankruptcy. So I'm often being asked about, okay, this is open source. What does it mean? Is it safe? Can I use it? Will it be there? And yes, compared to a SaaS company, and I would exclude the big ones like Microsoft, Salesforce, Zoho, compared to a smaller SaaS company, SuiteCRM system will be there as long as you host it. So you download it now. You won't get upgrades later on if it really should be discontinued for whichever reason, and it will still work for you. So that's a great advantage. And if I look into smaller CRM systems, I'm really doubting, are they surviving? How long have they been on the market? Will they still be there in the 3 or 5 years down the road? So therefore, this can't happen here. The only thing that could happen potentially is the company really goes out of business and nobody's taking care of the project anymore. Often what happens then is the project is a little bit rebranded. There will be a fork or whatever, and another company is taking over. That's what happened before with SuiteCRM system. So it came from vTiger before, from Sugar, sorry, came from Sugar before. But so far it's going strong and it's quite neat. Plus, if it's on your computer, on your server, nothing can happen unless you switch off the server. So documentation and support, yeah, it's a bit thin there. So if you look into the documentations of like Salesforce and Soho, and that's definitely better. HubSpot is doing an amazing job there for the documentation. So if you're coming for the documentation, if you heavily rely on the documentation, check them out on the SuiteCRM side first, whether it works for you, because they are actually a bit thin and here and there a bit outdated. What you can do is look into articles and video. I suggest those from Bastian Hammer for me. So I'm producing all those videos and write a couple of articles about SuiteCRM system. Additionally, there are forums. It's not like really a support where you can rely on. So on all those review platforms, I see this as a negative point. Well, if you pay for HubSpot monthly a lot of money, of course you can expect some support as well. But if you don't pay any money, who should support you here? So additionally, for SuiteCRM, additionally to not paying any money, you get sometimes a free support working very well. So there are a couple of users extremely active inside the forums and are glad to help as well. Therefore, I actually find the support in the circumstances, in the context here, very, very good. Additionally, you can buy support or dev packages from consultants, from the developer as well, from me if you want to. So therefore, I don't find this point very correct on those review pages, because it's possible it's just not free like the rest of the product as in open source. Maintainability. So I actually believe it's got a bit easier before in the version 7. You had to download a package and upload. Now you usually do it via your command line. Yes, it's a bit more technical now, but therefore I always feel a bit safer if you have like a huge package that you need to upload or that you need to upgrade. Then I prefer the command line on Linux itself, and I find it more stable or easier. But overall it works compared to So, for instance. Things are working in the background. Sometimes you don't even notice that they upgraded something. Here you have to do it by yourself, but compare it to other open source self-hosted solutions to make it a fair comparison. And then I think SuiteCRM is doing quite well there. Additionally, you can do it on your own pace. You should keep it up to date, especially because there are sometimes security risks. There are some bugs which are open in the internet there, and everybody could access it, your installation, your data. So therefore try to keep it up to date. But if you have to delay an upgrade for whichever reason, it still works because it's on pace compared to, I had a couple of integrations with other big German software vendors, and they just said, okay, by the end of 2022, we are sunsetting our API and you need to change. So basically their scheduling becomes your priority, and this doesn't happen here. Well, let's quickly summarize. The cost is one real good factor or like reason why you would be looking into a SuiteCRM system. You can scale it at a way lower cost than any other software as a service platform. You should be having some tech knowledge or build it up whilst you're growing your CRM system installation. You've got definitely way more freedom in terms of integration, in terms of what you want to do or customize with the whole system. And there will be maintenance that you will have to do. So it's kind of a good old model with an IT at hand, or like an outsourced IT, which should be here and there active once in a while, compared to pure SaaS solutions. So the experience compared to other CRM systems which are open source and self-hosted, very good. The experience compared to HubSpot, Pipedrive, or other solutions where you don't need to have IT, where everything is built up for you and you don't need to have a little bit of tech knowledge. Of course, this one is a bit more difficult to stomach here. Thank you very much for watching. That's it for today. See you next time. Bye.